Facade. Facade got dropped off the top rope early by Victor Benjamin. It's Hentai. Now LeRusso disposes of him. Lee Moriarty.
Tossed out by LeRusso.
And this is going to be wild. It's Chris LeRusso, Ace Austin. Ace, oh. I still have no idea where that cane comes from. Ace has been X Division, he's been a welterweight, and now he's an American Gladiator.
That's the bell rag.
LeRusso hitting the skull.
Is this legal?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's a magic cane, so I don't know what the rules are on that. Whoa.
Austin catches the foot of LeRusso. Very inclined to the martial arts. Austin with fancy footwork in his own right. Ace in his early 20s. I followed his career for a number of years. From a ride along looking for a chance into a bona fide national star. You know what else, Jay Worth? Today's Ace Austin's birthday.
Happy birthday, Ace. Not everyone gets to be in a match when they turn 17.
He's not 17.
He looks 17.
I haven't seen a 17-year-old with that kind of upper body musculature. Ace is in great shape.
Oh!
Lee Moriarty.
Great shape.
Lee has been a student of the game, as has LeRusso. Every dojo seminar you can think of. Lee's also studied in Mexico. Amazing vertical leap and quickness.
So let me ask you, Joe, the walking Wikipedia of wrestling. Who of these 6 men are you picking?
Oh my gosh, that's a pick 'em. All 6 bring their own strengths to the table. I like the momentum Lee Moriarty has experienced. I like the experience of Hentai. I like the ruthlessness of LeRusso. I like the daredevil aspect of Ace Austin.
What about the size of Victor Benjamin? He's taller and
shoulders are trapped.
than all of them.
Not to mention the worldly travels of Facade. And Facade may be the, what, 2 count only. Facade may be the most unorthodox in this matchup that can catch you off guard.
Very true.
Keep in mind, Jay, we saw many of these men in a scramble as part of Lucha Fiesta, also available on IndyWrestling.us. Great event that we had just down the road here back last fall.
Joe.
Oh,
Hentai to the top. No
Hentai.
one's paying attention.
Picking his opportunities.
There's the veteran instinct.
LeRusso doesn't see him till it's too late. Hentai spreads out his body weight for maximum impact. Hentai has defeated every major star that's come through this area, from AJ Styles to CM Punk. Hentai could add another notch to his belt tonight. Triple knees.
The flying headbutt right to the chest. And Hentai feeling the look out. I don't know why I yell. He can't hear me out here.
Victor Benjamin, only about 3 years in the game compared to Hentai coming up on 21.
Look at the size, look at the strength, look at the conditioning on Victor Benjamin. Athlete through and through. Oh!
Undefeated amateur MMA star before entering pro wrestling. Hentai has lived pro wrestling his entire life, including several tours of Japan.
He just jerked him up onto his shoulders. Hentai slipping behind. And now they're just trading forearms.
Neon Ninja strikes. On the surface, it's a dichotomy, but Facade is an athlete like no other.
I want to say Austin has the speed advantage on, I want to say, almost anyone here. Look how quickly he gets into the ring and attempts a strike. When he recognizes an opportunity, he is the fastest to capitalize.
At this point, it's nobody in the ring, because Neon Ninja, whoa, Lady Frost. And she may be overstepping her boundaries as far as what may be safer. Look at this. Lady Frost, a variation of a jawbreaker to give an opening to her Savage Gentleman. Not much proper about that.
No, not at all, but it, again, effective.
And Facade into the waiting arms of Danny Moe from Team Neon Blondes. And Benjamin gonna fly. Now the do-it Hentai explodes with a clothesline.
Set him flying. Hentai may not be the tallest, may not be the biggest, but pound for pound might be the strongest man in this ring.
I'd agree with that. 100% toughest striker in his weight class. And now Hentai gonna show some hops. Through with a tope and takes out Half the oh, look out!
And then
Was that
Moriarty took out the Neon Ninja, Michael Facade.
So quick, I barely noticed. Austin a headstand. Austin's insane. He defies gravity in so many ways. Drop kick. Just take a breath.
Up and over.
Fosbury flop connects. Ace Austin is special.
And you can hear the crowd saying exactly what they think of what they just saw. They are in disbelief over the speed and agility of Ace Austin.
Back in the ring now, it's Austin and Moriarty, arguably the two top young prospects in all of the Midwest.
Good Lord, he didn't kick Lee Moriarty, he kicked through Lee Moriarty.
Could he kick through Lee Moriarty on the road to a victory here? One fall will win it. You have to neutralize 5 other men. We could be here a while, but Austin going superplex. Lee's fighting to maintain his leverage. What's Danny Moe doing?
Danny up.
Good grief!
Danny onto the crowd while Moriarty and Austin fighting.
And that diverts Ace Austin's attention. Even Facade can't believe what he saw.
Danny Moe showing she is a physical specimen in her own right.
And now Lee gonna fly, but Facade cuts him off.
Facade up.
What is this?
No!
Hurricane Rana Lee into the field!
Why throw yourself at everyone if you can throw someone else, Joe?
Forget about it. Facade just used Lee as a projectile, as an offensive weapon.
And right now, the Neon Blondes are the only ones to their feet, I think.
Jayworth, I was going to ask you strategy. I was going to ask you questions about psychology in this matchup and how to prepare, but forget it. We got no time to breathe.
Take that book on Jung, take that book on Freud, light them on fire. There is no psychology. You don't have time to think of a psychological plan when you're in this kind of action.
Facade's practically in the locker room.
He's getting a runway up. Oh no!
Hentai, the veteran, counters.
Wait, thumbs up.
The Davey Boy Smith. Running power slam connects. And LeRusso air apparent takes his spot.
And LeRusso knew that was the end.
And LeRusso is the thinking man's wrestler of the bunch. If someone will beat you with their mind in this contest, it's certainly the heir apparent.
And LeRusso went for a chop and I think hurt it on Hentai's pecs.
That's a thick frame. There's no weak points on Hentai.
Oh yeah, but apparently there's a weak point in the hand of LeRusso.
You'd think he would have learned the first time.
Oh.
And as I mentioned earlier, you do not want to get into a striking game with Super Hentai.
Not at all. An elbow right to the jaw. Up.
Oh, couldn't get the thumbs up that time. LeRusso counters right between the eyes.
Hit that right at the bridge of the nose and just thrust upward.
LeRusso measured him and Lee with the save.
And you know, in a three-way dance, you have to keep your eye on that third man. There are 4 other men you have to keep an eye on besides the one you're pinning in this match.
And we're broadcasting the world over through IndyWrestling.us, Jayworth major bragging rights, whoever comes out on top.
LeRusso, the flow. LeRusso, a nice flip, followed by a need to go to the dentist.
Face buster, Lee's got him, no.
Calling Dr. Baker.
Ace with an interruption. By the way, Ace turns 22 today, if you're curious at home.
Moriarty up.
Knee counter.
Ace up, sorry.
Ace got that knee in. Lee goes to the flatliner again. Ace turns it around with a stomach breaker. Ace just planted his feet and turned it at that low center of gravity. Now the enziguri kick connects.
Spin, a kick, and Austin already to the top rope.
Down with the leg. Twisting, elevated, rocker, dropper, style got him though.
No, he was by the ropes and he was able to pull himself out of that pinning predicament.
And this athletic exchange, Jayworth, you see why these two men are on the lips of pretty much every promoter within a 300-mile radius.
And now Austin grabbing Victor by the beard and then just tossing him in over the top rope.
Benjamin, another athlete that we've seen in Blackcraft Wrestling. He studied under men like Les Thatcher and Rudy Boy Gonzalez lately. Another student of the game is the Savage Gentleman.
Oh, brought down hard across the back. Austin back outside. Quick as that, up.
A Lady Frost again. And this is almost turned into an 8-way scramble, Jayworth.
Stand by your man, Joe.
Well, you use Tammy Wynette logic on this one?
That's right.
Chaos Theory!
Roll through and then drop them on the back of their neck.
But you gotta pin somebody, Victor.
He's getting there, he's getting there.
Ace is dazed. They're the only two in the ring. Victor may have had an opening.
Good hard shot, right to the head. Wait.
Electric chair position. Calling in Lady Frost. What is this? And Danny Moe
had enough.
She's not helping Ace Austin, but she wants to protect Facade's interests.
Facade across the ring. Thrust kick from the middle of the rope.
Austin landed on his head and Benjamin just barely. Again, not saving Austin, but keeping himself alive. It's one fall.
Absolutely insane action. Oh, and now two hard kickers, two hard strikers facing off.
Benjamin more classically trained, but Facade has seen more different styles the world over.
Oh, right up into a torture rack.
Burning hammer!
Hit him, don't wait.
Other athletes are stirring, but none are in the ring as of yet. Could be the time for the Neon Ninja, the Aerosol Assassin, the Aerial Arsonist in his hometown to pull out a huge victory. Coast to coast!
Once again, he travels the world. Count to three.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the match, the
Late. Ladies and gentlemen, we saw a little bit of everything in every possible direction. We didn't just defy gravity, we outright completely disrespected it in that matchup. That is what Facade's all about, and this, Jayworth, is WrestleRex.
Yeah, I would say I'm surprised by the win.
Well, hello, friends. I'm your pal in the mainstream media.
And I'm the Riz.
And you know, Riz, it takes years of strenuous, dedicated training before you're worthy to step inside a professional wrestling ring. But it takes even more time to develop complex, highly astute opinions about professional wrestling. Am I right?
That is correct.
Yes.
And you know where we can find that?
Yes,
On the Wrestling Mayhem.
that's right.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us and IndyWrestling.network for your independent wrestling entertainment. Just pro wrestling news podcast. No filler, no pop-ups. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show. Hey guys, this is the Indie Mayhem Show, the show where we talk with people in and around independent professional wrestling, and we got one I've been looking forward to for a while. We finally locked it down here for the first interview of 2021. But in the meantime, please go check out everything at IndyWrestling.us and WrestlingMayhemShow.com, where you can find this and other great podcasts in the wrestling world, as well as over at IndyWrestling.us. You'll see a lot of the people we speak with on the show in action, whether it be on VOD, DVD, IndyWrestling.network, however you want to consume your wrestling content. The YouTube page has a lot of it as well. And of course, pertinent to today, Fight Underground on their social medias have a lot of action for you guys, just out there for you to experience and see what's going on there. But my guest for today is somebody. Somebody who may have yelled at me in the past on certain shows that's become a point of discussion over on the Wrestling Mayhem show pages at times. But Big Bang Roni Nicole is on the line with me. How you doing, Roni?
Hello, Sorg. I hope you're going to behave yourself today with all these technical problems we've had in the past.
Which is funny because we did have technical problems while we were setting up this interview. So it is kind of par for the course at this point, isn't it?
Right. Up to your old tricks, as usual. We'll try to make Ronnie look bad. That's fine.
Of course, I know you from Fight Underground. I know you from working with a women's promotion here in Pittsburgh over the last couple of years. But I want to, and I've always heard about your background, with Paul Atlas and Jim LaMotta, of course, on commentary. So I've always wanted to kind of hear that story and chat with you about it. But first, I kind of want to go back. We have a little break the ice thing we do on the show, and I always like to ask, what is your first memory of professional wrestling, or kind of when it kind of hooked you?
Of professional wrestling, absolutely hearing about it in middle school. Now, seeing it was later, but hearing about it in middle school and wondering what all the boys were talking about. And they were very excited, peak middle school energy. And I was in a weird social mix because I was in band, but I was also in dance team and step team and a book. You had to read a bunch of books and then go do a quiz about it. So I was in a lot of different groups, but I wasn't definitely in their group because these were the guys who liked LeRusso and stuff, and I wasn't into that at that time. But they were all hyped all the time, only on certain days, and I hadn't put it together yet about all these people. And then they came to school with these little cards, and these cards had wrestlers on them, and I was like, what are these? So that was my first kind of, it's tickling at the back of your neck. Something's up, something's cool, but I'm not sure exactly what. There was a young man I dated in middle school, secretly, of course. I was actually, had my mom not passed, I probably wouldn't be allowed to date to this day. We never actually had that talk. But he and I dated in middle school, and he had some older siblings who were kind of into it. So I kept hearing about it in different places. So I guess this was me getting drawn closer. But it wasn't until I saw Monday Night Raw, literally the very first one, that I really was like, oh, I've really been missing out. This is the era of the VHS tape. So at this point, because I'm not allowed to watch TV, I'm getting them recorded poorly with lots of and commercial cut into it, tapes from this kid named John across the street. And I just felt like I had been opened up to something that was really cool and secret. And I really never honestly felt comfortable with that until I started doing it. But, I ramble. Right?
No, that's great. That's great. Hey, the show's all about you telling me your story. So that's awesome. So I love that. I love that you discovered it through trading cards, visually. Though,
I didn't know what they had. And at the same time, though, there was Magic the Gathering was really popular.
Yeah.
Pog was popular. Now that I realize we were just playing with piles of cardboard, I feel I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's not great. And Pokemon cards, so all of these card things were already out, and everybody got some kind of something. So I was aware of the card culture, so to speak, but I was just like, who are these dudes with these little pants on? And everyone's so colorful. Look at this guy's hat, Macho Man. And what's this guy with this beefcake? Literally, so I was just really excited and intrigued, and it just seemed like there was so much that I was missing out on,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't really figure out how to get in. Because I mean, middle school is the beginning of the, I guess, stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I never really, other than the kid across the street, and he was a wild boy. He was the first incarnation of Jackass or like CKY or whatever. Like he would try to ride his bike backwards down the street. Like he would like try to drive his remote control cars across the highway before like the cars would. He would like put little things on them so people would freak out. Like they would think like a child was going across it. It was insanity. And I'm watching this like out the window. This is so he was kind of my connection, but I never got really immersed in it until I started watching on my own and then actually got older.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was in my senior year about to go into college when I finally was able to consistently, you know, start watching and learning who people were and studying and going back and but because everything in middle school on was a sneak. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. My mom was real strict about that. So it was a real like sneak and like so you can't really get a full storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to put everything together if you're not able to consistently be there and watch the full, but I did my best. But I definitely and I remember Max Moon. I was like, I was like so excited and Paul Bearer scared me, and I loved Undertaker, and I'm just thinking about like little me and how joyous I felt watching that, and how wrestling has really evolved and changed. But I still feel that like
It's awesome.
surrounded by tiny little seahorses feeling when I think about that.
You're just being like the biggest wrestling fan on the down low, I guess, at that time. What's that?
Okay.
Secret
Secret.
secret wrestling
Right.
fan. So how
Yeah.
so this progresses, and obviously you get to a point where were you always like, after you started kind of consuming it, was there always that inkling of I'd love to do this, or did that come kind of down the road?
Oh no, that was immediate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Sagittarius, so I kind of have the the quintessential. Oh yeah, I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have no skills to do that, but I absolutely will succeed. I am a brain surgeon. I don't know if you guys knew that, but like, so I instantly was seized by this. I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a very. If I say something's going to happen, it's usually going to happen. So from a very young age, I knew I would somehow get into wrestling. I just didn't figure out. I didn't know how to figure out how to do that, especially when you're small.
Mm-hmm.
Everything when you're small seems like, oh, you just go to wrestling college or school, or go to the wrestling store and then you can become a wrestler. So, I didn't really have a lot of awareness of how to get from point A to point B, but I knew that was going to happen. And my idea, literally from the beginning, was being a pterodactyl. Now, seeing Tara Calloway was a big blow for me. Okay, that was a really challenging blow for my life and heart. She's a sweetheart. I love her. Big shout out. But that was sad for me, George. Okay, because I was going full Petrie with it. Okay, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but I was doing a headdress as well as a wing suit. Okay, and my idea was to perch. Okay,
Was this before?
amazing.
This was before the training. This is like
This was before, and
Yes.
this was even after when I started training down in Fayetteville with the first group that I started training with. I told the guy that I told Night Spaghetti Brown that, and he just kind of looked at me like. And so, what is the character? And I said, a pterodactyl. I'm going to terrorize you. You get it? See who I'm referencing here? You get it. And he's like, no, I don't know if that's gonna play. Little did we know, that's it. and well. Okay? So I just want to say, old vets, stop discouraging people because you never know what's going to pop off. And I could have been the original Petrie pterodactyl. Okay? Just want to put that out there. That could have been me.
You're before
Okay?
you're before your time, apparently.
Listen, Sorg, I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And then I realized that the upkeep of the wingsuit and the different hats I wanted, that was going to be astronomical. We're talking upwards of $300 to $400 per outfit. Who has that?
We've had good
I don't have
discussions.
no party money. What are we doing?
We've had good discussions with the former DJ Z Walking Wild when he had the light suit he'd come out with, and the maintenance and traveling to wrestling shows with that was just ridiculous.
Yes, because packing the car for wrestling shows, that's something I've gotten good at, but initially it was not great. Okay, things were broken left and right. Whatever reason, I wanted a lot of glassware in my early years. I don't know whose kitchen I was trying to stock, but then we get to a place and we've got a box full of just glass shards. Like, this is I learned a lot along the way. Okay, but yeah, I definitely, I was either always going to be that pterodactyl, and then at one point I wanted to do like a Madame Laveau, like voodoo queen thing, but then you have Nina Monet, and I was like, why just not original? Like, what's happening? Everyone's got my ideas, guys. It was really not great for me. So, but that's okay because I became Big Bang. Well, I started out, I eventually settled on the She-Hulk of the South because that is She-Hulk character is very true to me. People who know me know I'm super low key. I don't like a lot of people. I'm kind of introverted. I like to stay in my cottage, drink my wine, read my books, watch my Always Sunny, keep it chill. I'll turn up if I need to, but I would much prefer to just be in the house icing my knees. So, but the rage, it's fiery and fast. So that was a very astute comparison. When I started, I was like, yeah, She-Hulk, but of the South, because, trademark, and they'll get you. I bootlegged a Marvel movie one time, Sorg, and it was the last time I bootlegged anything in my life. They emailed AT&T, and AT&T emailed my mother, and she talked to me, and that was 3 conversations I didn't want to have. So, yeah, they take it very seriously. So it's like, no, we'll just do this. So that was cool for a while, but when I went to Japan, they wanted something a little edgier, and they wanted something a little different. So that's where Big Bang Nicole came from, literally going into the crucible of the fires of Japan and emerging as this over-the-top Godzilla-esque creature of the night. So, that was bestowed and truly earned in all senses. But yeah, I always knew I always knew I wanted to be a wrestler once I saw wrestling. I always wanted to be an entertainer. I'm a pageant kid. I was a dancer. Like, I did karate and horseback riding. I sang and I was a model, and I wanted to go to every Disney audition my mom would allow me to go to. Like, things were very entertainment based for me because I always loved to entertain. I remember cutting a hole in the top of a tablecloth to turn one of my best friends into a nightingale, and I had written a song about her being a nightingale. And then it was funny because Always Sunny, when they do Birds of War and they do their song, it was very similar because I was still singing about actually just the qualities of a bird, not actually how cool it was fly or anything. It was just like about the routines of nightingales and like how many young they had and like how long their mating was. You know what I mean? And my mom is being very patient and like so about my tablecloth. It was like
So you have all these ideas. You how did you discover how to get to the rest through wrestling training finally, and how was that experience? Obviously, you've been through a lot of between karate and dancing. I mean that's a couple big physical activities there. amongst all the other things you were doing. But how did that kind of translate when you started actually getting into the ring and bumping around?
I didn't discover it; just happened.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. At the time, I was acting, semi-pro cheerleading, and modeling, and I was doing just entertainment stuff, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. At the time, the whole idea of an influencer was still new, so I knew I wanted to go that route, but tie entertainment. So I was cheering for the semi-pro team here in North Carolina, and the team folded, and I was super upset. And so I was on Craigslist just scrolling through, and it was like athletic females wanted for a long-term contract. You could make $200 to $500 per event.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yes, he had ambition. This guy had ambition. Okay.
That's if anybody knows indie wrestling rates.
Listen, I didn't know that, and he didn't either. I tell you what, brother. But yeah, and so I was like, and that was way more money than I was already making.
So you're kind of discovering it, like, and you found this. I'm going to put up finger quotes here. Opportunity. Based on your description. So tell me more about that.
Yes, so this gentleman who wanted to start an all-female wrestling promotion here in North Carolina. And his idea was that we would wrestle pretty much every weekend, and we would make $200 to $500 per show, and he was going to pay for the training, and it was going to be a select roster of women who would just like cycle through, and they would bring in other people, but he wanted to train the first roster, so he always had talent.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, amazing. Like, I wanted to do this my whole life, because prior to that, the only things that were available, because I got started in the early 2000s, so like or 2010s, excuse me, I'm not 20. But they're like, the schools were too spread out. It was like Johnny Rod's up in New York, WA4 in Georgia, Monster Factory, somebody out in Cali, Booker, and somebody in the Mid South, and that was it. So if you wanted to train, you really needed to be in Florida, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to train, you really had to go and like move. And I was like, well, I can't do this.
Right, and he was fronting to send people to these, like, and these are legitimate schools. That's right. Not messing around.
Right. And so like the research that I was doing, it was pretty much like those, you had to be there. Like, they weren't gonna just let you come in and drop in. And Johnny Rod to this day hasn't responded to me. Oh no. Hello sir. If you are watching this, I am available. Like, I couldn't relocate. I went to A4 a bunch of times, like early A4. I'm talking way back in the day, back when Lord Jesus, what was he before he was Apollo Crews? Uha Nation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is back. Okay. So you have to either be near these places or be willing to relocate to these places. And at the time, I'm in college. I'm helping my mom take care of my grandparents. Like, that's not an option. So I was really disappointed, because I was like, there's other places, but they did not seem credible. And I didn't learn the term outlaw until I got into wrestling, but let me assure you, they were very proud of the title and wearing the stuff. So but I knew I needed to do this the right way, because I needed to do the obligatory WrestleMania point. So you can't get that doing backyard wrestling. No offense to the backyarders, they do put their bodies on the line as well for significantly less money, but more power to you. Anywho, so I was definitely looking, but I didn't know how. And so when this opportunity came up, I was like, yes! So I met the guy at the mall, at the food court, because it was like also meeting someone by myself off Craigslist seemed kind of scary, and it wasn't until later that it became scary. So I'm glad I did what I did. You know, like Craigslist murder guy. It is. So I met him at the mall, and he explained that whole thing about wanting to start a promotion for women. He found a place in Fayetteville for all the women to go get trained. He was going to pay for the training. He was going to pick us up, take us there, bring us home. I was like, this is like a VIP status. And in my mind, I was like, this is how the Rock did it. This is like exactly. I know it. Like, so I'm so excited, right? So he would always contact us on Wednesday to make sure we were good for Saturday, and then we would have like a little group talk on Friday about what we were going to do, and we would go train Saturday, Saturday or Sunday, depending, because the place, they ran shows. So he would take us down to Fayetteville to Ring, North Carolina, and I was training with Nightstick Eddie Brown and Tony Hang James. And every week it was me, but every week it was me and a different girl. And, well, but also in wrestling, that was like I was the only consistent person, because girls would bump or they would see how hard it was, and they would be like,
Well, this is all stemming from that casting call. So you got like just general just models or girls wanting to be or something like that. So that they have like no idea the physicality, right?
No, across the board. There was one girl who was a bartender in Wilmington, and I was so hoping she would do it, because she was like a party girl, and at the time I was coming out of my party girl phase, but I definitely would have stayed in for her. And I felt like we would have been an amazing tag team. You know what I mean? It would have been like Jersey Shore meets ODB and Kong. Like, yes. And I was Black Snooki all through college. This was supposed to happen. But now, anyway, she didn't stick around, okay, because she took a bump and smashed her head. And, well, she didn't, I mean, it's not easy, George,
No.
It's, I think about I think about my body now as a 34-year-old woman. And when I started, and I don't even have 10 years in the business, but my body has definitely aged past that because of what we do. And so I understand why they were very apprehensive, and why they were like, if I don't have to, if it's not your passion, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah.
And that was just it. It wasn't their passion. And so because he couldn't find women consistently, and he was starting to see that he was going to have to put a lot more into it than he anticipated, he got a little shady. And so he stopped calling and checking in on Wednesday. And I wouldn't hear from him until like Friday. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're going. But we can only stay for like an hour. And I'm like, what? Training is from X amount to X amount. You're crazy. Anyway, like, we're not driving almost 2 hours to stay for 1 hour. That's insanity, dude. So he eventually was like non communicating. And I called Eddie at that time because we had built a rapport, and I was like, so I was told that I can't train with you anymore because it's only me and there's not enough women coming consistently to make it worthwhile. And he was like, I never said that. So my first brush with a shady promoter. Many more to come.
Well, at least you learned early. At least you learned early, right?
Yes.
So
yes. So long story short, I had to stop training with Eddie, and it was really disappointing because he was paying for training, he was taking all of the women down there and everything. So I went back to cheerleading, I went back to acting, I went back to modeling, all that. And I was in a movie with a guy who was friends with a local wrestler here in Raleigh. And so he linked me up with C.W. Anderson's cousin who had a training school. And so that's when I got to train with CW and Chili Willie from ECW and Lou Marconi. And it was really, I was really happy just to be back in the ring and live that wrestling life, again, because it was awful having to take a break, just like it is now.
I have to make a point here because I know a few people listen to this on the audio version, but you have to see. I can't remember the last time I've talked to somebody, and when they talk about this path, and we're just talking about training at this point, and the glow in her eyes when she's talking about this is fantastic.
The world of pro wrestling, it's bigger than ever. So how can you possibly keep up with everything that's happening? Just pro wrestling news. Don't fear falling behind. Give us just 5 minutes every morning and we'll catch you up on the biggest news in the world of pro wrestling. No filler, no rumors, no spoilers, no pop-ups. Just pro wrestling news. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app or tell your smart speaker to play the Just Pro Wrestling News podcast. Find out more. Go to justprowrestlingnews.com.
And here we are, Fight Underground, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim LaMotta, being joined by Pittsburgh legend Paul Atlas. And what a matchup we have on tap here. Established longtime veteran Mike Law against the debuting masked icon. What a speculation as to who this masked icon may be, Paul.
Yes, this is Stacy Hunter's contribution to Area 2, the masked icon.
Wait a minute. MK Bandit getting involved immediately here, hooking the leg. And this masked icon immediately going to work. Paul, just by his association with MK Bandit, this guy is a national agent of professional wrestling.
That's
this
right.
Guy only deals with the biggest of superstars.
That's it, MK Bandit. He is all over this country. I know this man personally from the Cauliflower Alley Club. Both of us being lifetime members in MK Bandit. He is involved with so much around FSW ladies, future stars of wrestling, with the ladies division. He does extensive work in Vegas. He's with Devotion Championship Wrestling and the Al Snow Wrestling Academy in Utah. This guy has been everywhere, and he is without a doubt, if you're under the tutelage of MK Bandit, you are definitely something in this business.
MK Bandit may be notorious, but he's successful, no doubt about it. Icon catches Mike Law out the back door. Mike Law looking to reassert himself here in Pittsburgh. Roll up here. Out the back door again. Nice defensive wrestling. But the masked icon cuts him off. Paul, I've tried to do some digging around. From what I understand, masked icon has international experience. This guy has wrestled for CMLL in Mexico, for All Japan, overseas. So whoever this guy is, he has a hell of a resume.
And like I said, Stacy Hunter really holding her cards close to the vest at our council meeting, not giving up the identity of this man, other than saying he has probably beat over 70% of the Fight Underground roster. Watch out, low gauge there.
Up and over, he hits the floor. I don't know if the masked icon is safe out there.
Look out, here comes Mike Law.
High-risk situation here. What's Mike Law going to pull out? And man,
they tumble to the floor.
That's a nasty spill.
Yeah, both men hitting the concrete floor out here. Mike Law, the man brought in by BC Steel for RPW, his longtime friend. He has brought Mike Law back to the Pittsburgh area after 14 long years.
As I said, an opportunity to reintroduce himself in many ways. And consider this, Paul. Masked icon, we know he's accomplished, but we don't know who he is.
Right.
So psychologically, Mike Law had no way to prepare for his opponent here.
And, I made that statement on the Fight Council meeting that this guy is the wild card, the unknown entity. We don't know who he is. His opponents can't scout.
And man, that was a textbook back suplex. not going to get it done there. Very arrogant cover. This guy may be an icon, but here in the Fight Underground, you have to hook the leg, man. Into the well once too often. Mike Wall counters and almost caught the icon sweeping. Beautiful transition into the neck breaker.
Mike Law trying to come on strong here now, and again, like you said, reinsert himself into Pittsburgh wrestling.
2.5. Paul, if you can, enlighten our fans about Mike Law's previous accomplishments here in Pittsburgh.
Mike Law was back here in the early 2000s, and he self-admittedly, when he talked to us on the Fight Council meeting, he was a young kid, didn't have a lot of experience, took some things personally. Apparently he has a beef with Dean Radford over something that happened years ago. But I'm going to tell you what, this guy...
Now wait a minute, MK Bandit
in the way there. And I'll tell you what, I know told you I know MK, and I'm not shocked that he's involved in this match.
He may be attired in Louis Vuitton, but there was nothing classy about that.
Oh, this man is always in Louis Vuitton, Gucci. He is a class act all the way.
We got a high-risk situation here.
Yeah, these guys need to be careful.
Mike Wall perched up top here.
Here he comes. The icon able to make him roll through.
Went downstairs, caught him off balance.
Chopping the big guy down.
Jumping Enziguri, hooked the kick right to the back of the neck, hooks the leg.
Oh, MK Bandit beside himself at ringside.
You know, Paul, you talked about it. Masked Icon was brought in here as a wild card. If he busts, if he doesn't come up aces here, that's certainly going to put a dent in his international reputation.
Oh, not only that, but that's going to put a dent in Stacey Hunter's position with the council, because she told all the guys she has the man to beat.
Come on! What is wrong with you?
MK Bandit badgering Sean Patrick.
He's not playing.
I'm not sure if MK Bandit thought that Mike Law was going to put up this much of a fight.
Don't you worry about that. He knows exactly what Mike Law is about. MK Bandit is always doing his homework.
You know, Paul, I have to say, with MK Bandit's involvement here, bringing the Masked Icon to Fight Underground, I believe that really shows you that when we say that we can have wrestlers from all over the country show up here and Fight Underground, that's not just hyperbole.
Oh, without a doubt not. I had a conversation with MK before we went on the air, and he said the reason he is here is because this is the place to be in independent wrestling. Like I've said before, we are the next big thing, and that's why somebody like MK Bandit brings his charges to Fight Underground.
And you know as well as I do, if MK Bandit gets any leverage, he's going to use that negotiating chips at the bargaining table.
Oh, without a doubt. And I know we're spending a lot of time talking about MK, but, well, there you go.
And MK Bandit, he may be the wild card in reality.
We've got to talk about him because we don't know a lot about this Masked Icon, and that's what MK wants.
Beautiful double underhook suplex.
I tell you what, I don't know who's under that mask, but he definitely knows his wrestling.
Finds 2.5 there. And while Mike Wall is favoring that neck, you have to admire the tenacity that he's bringing to the table. As you said, it's been a decade and a half since he's been in the Pittsburgh area, but he is certainly showing that he hasn't lost a step. In fact, he's grown by leaps and bounds.
Oh, without a doubt. Both physically and mentally. He's a lot more beefed up than he was the last time he was here, and he's a lot smarter than the last time he was here. But right now, the Masked Icon has him perched up on that top rope.
Icon using that height advantage in this.
Oh, I mean, look at him. He's standing there on the mat, punching Mike Law in the head, who's on the top rope. These guys are dangerously close to that I-beam here in this warehouse where Fight Underground is.
We'll fight anywhere, brother.
Hey, you drop the ring truck and set it up. That's what Fight Underground is.
Now again here, MK Bandit trying to get involved, and finally he's going to get some comeuppance. The Louis Vuitton hits the concrete.
Mike Law has had enough of MK Bandit. It looks like he may have had enough of the Masked Icon as well.
Going for a home run swing.
Big
frog
frog
splash. Hooks that leg.
He got him. Mike Law making his debut in Fight Underground, and his return to the Pittsburgh wrestling scene comes up big against the Masked Icon.
A successful return may be just the beginning for one Mike Wall.
And the Masked Icon has got a large hill to climb now, as he is now 0-1 here in Fight Underground.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, picking up his first win here at Fight Underground, moving on to round 2 here at Area 2, Colossal Mike Law. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Now, let's put Barbie here. Social distancing is the right thing to do. Now, there's 2 things. When I said, and I was invited down to the Fight Underground, I told everyone I was meaning business. That kid that was here 14 years ago became a man who's busted his ass up and down the road, has traveled Dominican Republic, has traveled Canada, who's traveled all over the United States to make a name for himself. I didn't take the easy way out. I didn't drop the names. I didn't politic to get where I'm at. I did it because of hard work. Everyone nowadays wants everything handed to them. That is not the way I was raised. Mama, God bless you soul. You never raised me like that. You said if you wanted anything in this life that was worth having, that you would work your ass off for it. And today is no different. I will go to round 2 and I will win this thing. That you can promise.
Yes, I would like to start. So, first things first, I don't want to take time and sabotage your interview here, but just first things first. A few weeks ago, you made some comments. We met, finally. You've never met me before.
Yeah.
You must have had me confused with somebody else. I didn't work on the lower grade of Pittsburgh. I worked on the higher grade of Pittsburgh. So, it's nice to finally meet you. And after all the touting that you've done for weeks, I would like to say that it was very impressive to see you in the ring. What you was speaking about over the weeks to come with you coming to Fight Underground proved, obviously, with your in-ring ability and your mouth, they both match up pretty good. So, my question is, what's next for Mike Law?
You know, a lot of guys struggle with just maintaining themselves. This is an ever-changing business. A lot of guys fade away, and that's not me, man. I'm here to leave a legacy. I'm here to, like, the day I die, that's the end of me as a physical presence, but the legacy I'm going to leave behind in this industry, in this world, that'll never be forgotten, man. That's it. You know what I mean? Not any. You can't bury me with all that money, man. It's like I'm not one of those guys. I do this because I have a passion and a love for it. I'm ultra competitive. I talk a big game, but guess what, man? At the end of the day, I back it up. The rest of the cats out here, man, they talk a big game. They train once a month, and they call themselves pro wrestlers. They're not about this life, you know. And I'll say this about you, Dean, even though, you know, whatever, I'm going to let the past be the past, but, like, you know about that life. You know, the guys and girls who've come before us, and it's not a generational thing. It's really, because there are younger guys that work hard, you know. There's Beastman. Like there are people who are younger in this. It's not a generational thing, man. It's just a work ethic thing, and I plan on working everybody. That's it.
RPW.
So Stacy Hunter threw a curveball.
Right.
She picked the masked icon. I couldn't find any tapes, so I do apologize for not giving you those ahead of time. But what was your strategy?
You know, whenever I mean, listen, man. I mean, he was a bigger guy. You know, I mean, I consider myself a super heavyweight myself, but you know, he was a bigger guy. I just felt like if I could outpace him, You know, my cardio is second to none. Like, I defy anybody. You know what I mean? I can go in there for 60 minutes. You know, I'm not one of these guys who claims to be a pro wrestler but doesn't want to train to be a pro wrestler. I hit the weights. I hit the gym. I train as a professional wrestler. I know it's like a sin or a bad thing to say nowadays because nobody wants to be referred to as that. But, you know, my first love, my pride is pro wrestling. And so I just knew that if I could outpace him, if I could keep a faster pace, that, you know, he was going to be able to match me.
Impressive.
Dash?
I'll echo that. Impressive. You definitely worked tonight, and I'm elated to see you back where you belong, representing the best in Pittsburgh here in Fight Underground. So I just want to know what's next as you head into the second round of Area 2.
This ain't the same, you know, like I said it before and I'll say it again. This ain't the same kid from 2004 who was scared for a spot, you know, who was shy, who was timid. You know, I truly believe I'm one of the best. Like, a lot of guys out there say they're the best unsigned talent. I'm not going to sit here and say that because it's so overdone. I'm here to tell you that, like, the takeover is real, you know, and it starts with Fight Underground. They wanted the best, and I'm going to give them the best, okay? And round 2, same thing. But I'm going to train even harder, you know? Again, some of these guys are going to take a few days off to heal, relax, let their bodies. That's not me, man. I wasn't brought up that way. I come in, I work hard, and I train hard, and I need to show everybody, like, that more important than anybody else, I have to prove to myself that I am indeed the best. That isn't bullshit. It's me being legit about it and saying, that kid that you saw in 2004, forget that. He never existed. Colossal Mike Law, that's the guy you need to pay attention. That's the guy who needs to be on a national level. That's the guy who needs to be signed. Not the best unsigned talent, man. That's hokey. I'm here to tell you the truth. I am the best of the best. And I'm going to continue to prove it. Next round, I'll do the same.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, you know, to me, like I said, the competition is fierce, you know. But at the end of the day, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's not about, like, I feel like I'm owed anything because I'm a veteran. No, man. I'm not owed anything. But guess what? I'm also not bitter because I've accomplished a lot. More than people who ever wanted to give me credit for. So I'll tell you what. This, to me, is a personal thing. It's not about, like, for rankings and all that, you know, stuff. I'm here to prove to myself that I can advance and that it was a phenomenal idea to bring me back to Fight Underground, bring me back to Pittsburgh when other promoters were too cheap to try to bring me back in.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.